Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Gambit number 2, released on the 31st of August, Wednesday the 31st of August 2022. This cover is by Whilce Portacio and coloured by Alex Sinclair, and it features obviously Gambit and the device of an ace playing card with the lightning symbol of Storm. And in this series, it revisits continuity from Uncanny X-Men 267, 1990, in which Gambit and a de-aged Storm had a series of adventures up and down the Mississippi. So this is Claremont returning to that time period and filling us in on what Gambit and Aurora got up to. Okay, so the story opens with the pair in a convertible driving along the side of the Mississippi River. The creative team here, Chris Claremont, writer, and Sid Kotian, artist. The colour artist is Espen Grundetjern, and the letterer Clayton Cowles. So they're heading along the Mississippi River when they encounter two cars coming at them and taking up both lanes of the road. So Gambit drives evasively between the two cars, but his car spins out of control and over the edge of the riverbank into the Mississippi. And this is great drawing by Sid Kotian here. It's difficult to do this. You can imagine the script that he gets in terms of Gambit treading through the two oncoming cars and then spinning off the edge of the riverbank and then down into the water. So nicely done storytelling here. Gambit injures himself against the steering wheel. Aurora bangs her head badly against the windshield, and Gambit seeks to remove her from her seatbelt, and but the river current pulls her away from him, and this other mysterious figure enters into the action, and she rescues Aurora. And she was the driver of one of the vehicles that was oncoming, this pickup truck here. So she turns out to be an ex-Marine. Her name is Marissa DaCosta. And her mother happens also to be an army medical doctor. And so they drive in her truck back to her house, where Aurora gets the treatment that she needs. This is Marissa's mother. But in the meantime, we gain access to Aurora's psyche, in which she is met by this intriguing character whose name is Ashake. And Ashake is a character that Claremont created with Steve Leialoha in New Mutants number 32. And Ashake is an ancient Egyptian sorceress with white hair and blue eyes who is a direct ancestor of Aurora. So here is Claremont returning to this character he created decades earlier and exploring the relationship between ancestor and descendant here. So Ashake turns up in Aurora's comatose state and helps train her, which we'll see in subsequent sequences. So Gambit has been attending to the comatose Aurora for 72 hours, 3 days. But the Marissa's mother says that she's out of the woods, she's going to be okay. So Gambit wants to go back to the car at the bottom of the Mississippi, and he retrieves his travel bag, which obviously has things in it that are important to him. And Marissa helps him locate the car and assists him getting the belongings out of the car, when they're met by this character here, Solars, who has some kind of back history with Marissa, and it's explained to us later on that he is a property developer who's looking to buy Marissa and her mother's farm for his own development purposes, and she and a few others in the local community are refusing to sell. So Gambit gets involved with his playing cards and blows one of them up using his mutant power in front of them to frighten them away. This portion of the comic really reminded me of maybe the plot of 1980s TV series like The A-Team, for example, when the A-Team characters would again get involved with someone who was having problems with a local bully representing a corporation or a corrupt endeavor of some kind. And this seems to be what's going on here. And we're also getting this little story about Roxxon Agro, this huge multinational company, originally an oil drilling company that is now buying up farmland. And that is, Solars is their bully pressuring Marissa and others to sell their farmland. So then we return to Ororo's psyche and Ashake continuing to train her. And we have Ororo's own parents there in the background, worried about their daughter and the toughness of the training that Ashake is putting Ororo through. And then we have this scene of this riverside town, which originally was a natural waypoint for riverboats. But after that business passed, the town stayed vital nonetheless, and it seems to be a nice place to live. And then we have this impending kind of romantic moment with Gambit, and Gambit, of course, is one aspect of his personality is that he's a charmer. So his charm working on Marissa there, and then they're interrupted by these heavies who whack Gambit from behind, and Marissa, who is an ex-recon Marine, is able to take care of herself. Gambit helps out too with his mutant power and the playing card. But then in the background we get this mysterious figure who's watching and who is dismissive of the heavy's ability to take on Gambit and Marissa. So this character here, who I don't recognize, but whose physical appearance, at least his face, reminds me of Mr. Sinister. And Claremont had a whole backstory he'd worked out that would involve a relationship between Mr. Sinister and Gambit that was never developed after he left the X-Men in 1991. So it's intriguing that this hitherto unknown character, as I say, has a facial resemblance at the very least to Mr. Sinister, and I'm wondering where that's going to go. Again, great sequence here by Sid Kotian, the artist, with this character filling Marissa's truck with the grenades, lifting it up there and throwing it like a bomb, which explodes, takes out the dock. What's become of Gambit and Marissa? Well, the scene switches to Ashake continuing to train Ororo, but Ororo becomes aware of smoke, and what has happened is the house has caught fire. So Ororo wakes from her coma, and she panics, and we're wondering what's going to happen here, and we're going to have to what happens is Ororo at this time in her de-age state doesn't have full access or control over her mutant powers, which is the power to control the weather, but she can unconsciously, in moments of peril, instinctively call upon the weather, which is what happens here, where a storm cloud manifests and puts out the fire. And she attributes that to the intervention of Ashake, but really it's her own mutant power. But who happens upon the scene except Solars and this mysterious new supervillain figure. And then we switch back to Gambit and Marissa, who have survived the explosion on the dock and who are resolved, they finally kiss, and who are resolved to take the fight now to Solars. And as Gambit says, this is going to be a fun fight. Trust me, Cher, you and me, we're going to teach them all some lessons they'll never forget. So we're going to have to pick up issue number 3 to see how all of that pans out. So another fantastic kind of old school, new school issue by, this is the cover to number 3 next month, by Whilce Portacio. So another fantastic old school, new school type issue by Chris Claremont, master storyteller. Fantastic art by Sid Kotian, great colours by Grundit Urin. Well worth it to pick up at your local comic store. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like the video. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.